In this video, I'm going to break down the difference between house investing and land investing and why I think the latter is the very best option in real estate right now. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Sumner. I'm the founder of a company called thelandpioneer.com. In the last 18 months, I've sold a little over $2.2 million of raw land on the internet. I make these videos to document my journey and hopefully help others along the way. If you guys like content like this, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification down below. So way back in the day when I was a young little lad, I knew I wanted to get involved in real estate. And I wanted to be a real estate entrepreneur. I didn't really know what that meant, but I figured that would be me, wholesaling houses or fixing and flipping houses or syndicating apartments. I just thought that was how people went about it. And so I was living in Poway, California at the time, North County, San Diego, door knocking on houses, dropping off flyers, trying to make a deal happen, trying to make something happen. I didn't really even know what I would do if I did get a deal, but I was trying. Now, a long roundabout story, but I ended up stumbling upon a tax delinquent list for land out in Elko, Nevada. Started writing handwritten notes to property owners out in Elko. And long story short, I started buying land. I had no intention of getting in the land investing space. I didn't really know that was a thing. But what I've discovered is that there's a magnificent opportunity within land investing. And I'm going to share why I think land investing is the best place you can put your capital if you're looking to be a real estate entrepreneur. This doesn't really count if you want to be a passive real estate investor. Despite what people might tell you, land investing is anything but passive. But if you're willing to put in some sweat equity, you're willing to treat it like a business, there's a massive opportunity. Now, the first reason is land is an inefficient market. You might be like, Sumner, what the heck is an inefficient market? Well, an inefficient market is really the polar opposite of what the housing space is or what the stock market is, right? There's efficiency within the pricing. It's very clear what things are worth, right? Whether your neighbor's house just sold for $400,000 and two houses down sold for $450,000, well, you could pretty much easily assume that your house is worth anywhere between $400,000 and $450,000, right? With land, it's not the case. One, there's a lack of what we call comps or comparables. So there's dispersed data all over the place, but ultimately land is an incredibly subjective asset, right? Your house has 3 bedrooms and 2 baths and the neighbor's house has 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. Well, those are pretty darn similar. But my property that's got a river on it and a tree on it, and the property across the street that's got a hill on it and no river, well, those have different subjective values. And because there's a lack of comparables out there on top of it, it makes it really difficult to price. But for someone like us who's willing to market and put their sales effort to work, you can actually go and create deals and kind of control and be the market maker in terms of pricing, where you can't really do that in most other real estate asset classes. So what that means is you can buy things truly for pennies on the dollar. Now, of course, there are some comparables out there. That's how we get our kind of baseline of what something's worth. But most owners aren't savvy enough to go and scrub through a giant CSV file and figure out what the average price per acre is in an area. That's a huge opportunity for us. The next point is what I call misaligned incentives. Now, if you look at most realtors, what they typically sell are going to be single family houses or maybe some kind of commercial real estate. And in this environment, and in most environments, houses sell relatively quickly. And they typically are able to capture a pretty nice commission check on it, right? You sell $1 million house at 3 points, well, you just netted yourself 30 grand. The truth is with land, it's very different. One, land is inherently an illiquid asset. That means it typically is going to sit on the market for a long time. So that realtor isn't going to be able to capture value quickly. The other thing is it's typically going to be a lower price point than most single family houses. Now, of course, there's exceptions to all these rules, but that's besides the point. So what we have is a realtor who knows they're not going to get paid much. They're not going to get paid anytime soon. And yet they've got this other listing that's a house. Where do you think their energy is going to go, right? They're going to go towards the house. They're going to go towards where they're going to get paid the fastest, or where they're going to get paid the most. So what that means is if you go on Zillow or you go on Redfin, you go look at most land listings that have been listed by a broker, they've been sitting there for a long time. They might have a 1-sentence description for the listing description. They might have 2 or 3 photos they took on their iPhone, and they probably don't ever pick up the phone if you call them. What that means for us is there's a giant opportunity, right? We can have aligned incentives because we're buying at a discount. We have a large spread in between, so we're going to capture a decent amount of value, and we know how to market, right? We're going to go syndicate the listing everywhere. We're going to get great photos, write a great listing. We're going to pick up the phone when people call, and so our incentives are aligned. Where with the realtor, they might make 5 to 10% on that sale, but they're only selling it for $50,000. Not really a great deal for them. If we're selling that same property at 50 that we bought at 25, well, we've got a lot of value in between there, right? So we're very incentivized to go get that sold. That is a massive, massive opportunity. And I cannot understate how important that is. The other thing that I love about land is you really have very low CapEx liabilities. And what I mean by that is if you go buy a house, right? Let's say you're living out of state. I live in California. I go buy a house in Arizona. I hope that the inspector goes and checks everything, but maybe there's a plumbing leak, or maybe the toilets break, or I didn't realize it, but the house is infested with termites, or whatever it may be. When it comes to land, because we're typically buying out of state, we very rarely have any concerns, or are we losing sleep that there's going to be a coyote taking a poop on the side of the property. No, but seriously, it's not really a huge concern for us. Where with houses, I would be sweating bullets. I would be concerned about just the liabilities that I have. And even if the property checks out initially, but I have tenants in it for years, well, I know I'm gonna have to make improvements to the property. And if you budget for that accordingly, that's okay, right? You'll be fine. But in this business, in land, we don't have to concern ourselves with that, right? We're just buying dirt. And truthfully, dirt doesn't really want to do much. So you're not gonna have any massive problems with tenants. You're not gonna have any weird problems with buildings or old plumbing or anything along those lines. I think the worst thing that's ever run into me is I had a well pump break on a property that had a well on it. I didn't even know it had a well on it initially, so to say that I was disappointed would be lying, right? I was actually kind of happy that I found the well on it. The fact that the well pump broke, so be it. The next thing is what we call lack of financing. So if you go to landpioneer.com or you go look at any other land listing websites that specialize just in raw vacant land, you'll see in a lot of cases they offer these properties with owner financing. And what that means is they're essentially acting as the bank, right? They're going to take a down payment, they'll get monthly payments on the property. When you pay off the property, they'll transfer title, bada bing, bada boom. Very similar to financing a house. The truth is, for the properties that we go and seek out, they're typically going to be under the requirements of what a bank would lend on for land. Now, it's not to say that banks won't ever lend on land. They will in some cases, but more times than not, they're not going to go lend on your $50,000 property that's 3 hours away from a major metropolitan area. To them, that's a liability. That's not something they want on their balance sheet. They do want to go lend on a house though, because that's a real asset that they can hold on to and they can repossess if they needed to. So for us, that means that we can actually provide financing for folks on our properties, and that's going to help us sell through way quicker. One of the biggest concerns that we have in the land investing space is, like I said before, that lack of liquidity. These properties take a long time to sell. So the way that we kind of work around that is we discount the pricing. We're buying at a discount, we sell at a discount. We market the property very, very well, right? We put on our marketing hat. We make sure that we are marketing it at the highest level. We syndicate our listing all over the internet, so it ends up on every single possible listing website known to man. And we offer owner financing. And through that owner financing, someone that says, hey, you know what? I want to go buy this property out in Galveston, Texas, but I don't have the $50,000. I'll tell you what, I've got $7,500 I can put down, and I can make $400 a month in payments. Well, hey, that works for us. Our basis in the property was 10, so we know, hey, we're going to get our capital back in less than a year, and that works for you because you get to go and actually secure a property where a bank was not willing to lend on it beforehand. Now, this last point is really kind of my own theory. I've got some anecdotal evidence to back it up, but truthfully, I don't really know. But what I have noticed is since the pandemic, there's a bit of a remote work revolution happening. Now, this has been happening for a while now for sure, but I think COVID really just kind of boom, expedited it. And what we're seeing now is that folks can have a high-paying job in Silicon Valley, but they can have the freedom to go live in, Apache County, Arizona, or whatever it may be. And as long as they have a cell reception or an internet connection, they can still capture that high-paying salary that they would get in San Francisco, but now they can go and pursue their dreams of living off-grid. Now, secretly, I have this belief that most people don't want to live in a city. I think most people live in a city simply because it affords them the lifestyle that they are told that they should want, right? I can go get a higher paying salary, can I have a nice apartment in the city, yada, yada, yada. But I think at the core of humans, I think what we really miss is how we've been living for the last 70,000 to 100,000 years, and that is in nature. That's in accordance to nature. That's living with harmony with the world. And so what I've been seeing is people are able to still get that salary. They're still able to have that security or work the job that they like, but they can do it on their own terms. So we've seen a lot of people coming out and buying land from us that weren't really in our typical demographic before COVID. But now we've got these much more savvy buyers, they've got a lot more expendable income, and they're looking to homestead or kind of restart and create a new lifestyle. And so that's been a really nice kind of push, like a silent hand pushing the market. And anytime I think you can get behind industry trends, you can screw up a lot and you can still make progress, right? You can do a lot of things wrong, but if the tide's pushing you in the right direction, that's okay, right? And so I want to be in markets. I want to be in areas where that trend is kind of helping push things along. Now, I know this video was a bit rambly. Truthfully, I'm a little nervous to make these videos. I'm not gonna lie. I've been making videos on my webcam for the last year. I know you guys have shown some really nice feedback and I really appreciate that. But as you can tell, I'm stepping up the operation. We're trying to make better content, again, to document the journey, but also to hopefully help others. I get tons of DMs and emails asking, Sumner, what the heck is it that you do? How can I emulate it? Yada, yada, yada. So it's my hope that these videos resonate, and I promise they will get better over time. If you guys have enjoyed this content, it would mean the world to me if you could subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.